Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CoROM podcast. This is where academic medicine meets remote, austere, and resource-limited areas. Welcome back to the program. This is Ava Kelly. This week, we are with Mike Turconi. Mike is an advanced care paramedic working in Canada and a graduate from the NATO Special Operations Combat Medic course. Mike, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Abrick. I'm really honored to be here on with you today. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, a long time coming, and lots and lots of chats in the meantime. But for the listeners, tell us a bit about yourself and what keeps you busy.
I am originally Italian, as my macaroni English accent might probably suggest. I've spent about 10 years in the Italian army, as you said. Eventually, I graduated the NATO Special Operations Combat Medic course. I got out in 2019, moved to Canada to start a career as a civilian paramedic, and I was able to transfer my education and obtain registration here as an advanced care paramedic. I actually started as a primary care paramedic because I failed my first licensing exam, but then I eventually got my ACP, worked on ground ambulance for a couple of years, and then switched to work in flights and some other non-traditional paramedic roles. I've been working community up in the Arctic, and then some humanitarian work for the last couple of years over in Ukraine.
So right now you're currently in British Columbia, in Okanagan area of British Columbia, working as an ACP and doing flight work up north as well.
Yeah. Right now I'm just vacationing the Okanagan, but I'm due for a rotation up north, working flight on Monday, working air ambulance on Monday.
So how is your experience with British Columbia?
British Columbia is a lovely region. I have been mostly living on the east coast of Canada, which is a very different geography, and everything looks different. Even the cities are not developed the same, using the same model. Out here is it's my first touch with the west coast of North America, my first contact, and I'm impressed. There's some of these hills and lakes around here. They look a lot like North Italy. Reminds me of home.
That's interesting to me because you're currently living in Newfoundland, and that is very Irish. In fact, there's Gaelic areas in Newfoundland. So you've gone from one end of your country, which is Ireland, all the way to the other end of your country, which is Italy, all within Canada.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The resemblance between Newfoundland and Ireland is striking, and this could not be more different from the East Coast for sure.
Just a little tidbit that we've learned in Ireland, that the geography, the stones in Newfoundland used to be attached to the stones in Clare Island off of West Fork in Ireland. And hundreds of thousands, millions of years ago, whatever, it was just one big chunk. And it's funny enough that in present day, there's Irish on both sides of that stone. There's so many thousands of miles apart, but
that definitely explains the resemblance with the geography. And you're right. It's funny that there's a lot of people with Irish heritage that live there.
So you made it to Soma again this year, Mike. Tell us a bit about your experiences at Soma. It's been a while since you were at the Soma at Tampa. Now it's in Raleigh. How was Soma this year?
Well, it was my first time in Raleigh, so that definitely was a bit different, and it was my first time in person again after having followed virtually and not being able to be there. I found that it's been a great conference. All the people from the community coming together. That's always the most important thing for me about Soma. The trucks and the labs and the vendors bringing the cutting edge technology is always great, and this year was no different. high quality speakers on all fronts. But the real value of Soma is talking to the people, is networking, and is making those connections that then can be vital in the professional arena or even in the personal one.
Was there any workshops or any lectures that you heard that was striking for you?
There was definitely a couple of very interesting one. I think they had Phil Gonzalez. I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't know exactly what nominals or post-nominals should be used, but I mean, he's an 18 Delta from the Vietnam era that has been done some I don't even know how to describe it, work, but he's been all over the world, and they add him up and present his experiences and bring some lesson learned from somebody that has been doing this over a continuum of 50 years all over the world, and some really good lesson learned there, in the sense that, with what's potentially coming, we need to start remembering that less is more, and we need to start remembering how to do all those potentially unconventional warfare or irregular warfare things that we have sort of forgotten with the recent experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan. And there was also a great study, I think it was from Bethesda Center, but about CPR and traumatic cardiac arrest. That was a very interesting one for me, because I've always been personally questioning the point of performing CPR in traumatic cardiac arrest, and they presented this study, small study on porcine models, but their preliminary findings show that when they've run those trauma codes without CPRs, they've actually had better outcomes. So, maybe it's the prelude of some guidelines change in the future. So that's exciting.
That is quite interesting, and there's quite a bit of good cutting edge talks on what the new MSIW subtrack within SOMA is interesting, and it's being at Green Beret in the 90s, it was unconventional warfare, and then GWAT kind of ended that, so we're slowly relearning old roots.
Yeah, on that note, there was also some very good talks about Ukraine. A medic described very vividly and precisely the situation and the challenges of providing casualty care under constant drone threat, and I think that was also important for the community to hear, because a lot of people on this side, they might not have an idea of exactly how things are developing out on the Eastern Front. So very valuable for sure.
Speaking of Ukraine, you've made more trips there than I have. Tell us about your experiences there.
Yeah, I had never been to Ukraine before February of 2022. I've toyed with the idea years before, but for one reason or another, I didn't make it. And then when the large-scale invasion in February 22 happened, I decided that it was time to get involved. And so I participated to a few different projects through NGOs working for the WHO throughout 22 and 23, basically. Very different experience from what I've had a chance to experience during my time in Iraq.
How many trips have you been over?
I would have to pull my passport out and look at the stamps. Probably around 10.
So, do you use your Canadian passport or your Italian passport when you go?
No, just my Italian passport.
So you're just about ready for your Canadian one, aren't you?
Yeah, just waiting for some paperwork to line up.
Do they make you speak French?
At gunpoint. No French. No French. It's interesting because every every time I speak to somebody and I'm like, oh, I live in Canada, they're like, oh, you speak French? And like, there's a very small part of Canada that speak French. Other than that, it's just English.
And once they succeed, then there'll be no French speaking in Canada. That's the joke, isn't it? So you and I met in 8 years ago at the NSOCM course. Tell us about your experiences going through the SOCM there in Fullendorf.
Yeah, you were teaching tropical medicine together with Dr. DeMello. That's our inception. Well, I was initially not very excited about it because I was on a list of people, and my unit was planning to send to Fort Bragg to do the SOCM course there and then complete the 18 Delta portion as well. So I had a time and date that I was supposed to leave for the United States, but at the same time, they were developing the NATO SOCM course over in Europe, and eventually when that project was launched, for whatever reason, that ended up being one empty seat, and because it was a pilot course and they needed to run it at full capacity, I was the next in line for my unit to go to a SOCM course, and I ended up going to Germany rather than the US. It proved to be game changer for me for a number of reasons, and mostly from a time perspective. I ended up being able to deploy to Mosul during the battle for the liberation and make some really good experience there. And I'm also very happy that I ended up doing it at the European schoolhouse rather than the American one. Of course, the course in Bragg is where everything started. Absolutely fantastic and prestigious program, but I was happy to be part of a new initiative, and because it was a new initiative, there was, I think, some interesting new ideas, and also because the schoolhouse could not rely on a big residential faculty, they brought a lot of guest instructors such as yourself from different backgrounds and different parts of the world, and I think that was a great resource for the students. We definitely had a chance to learn from some of the best in the respective fields.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here. What precisely do you remember about tropical diseases during that week that we taught?
Any fever of unexplained origin in the tropics is malaria until proven otherwise. That's
good enough. That should be tattooed somewhere, in fact. Yeah. Well done, Mike. Oh, you weren't expecting that one at all.
I would lie if I said I didn't prepare for that one. I knew you were gonna.
See, that or ultrasound. One of the questions are going to go either way.
I haven't had much chance to. I've done some. I've had a small chance to practice some tropical medicine after the course, but not as much as I would like. Definitely, it was definitely great to be able to go to Tanzania last year and refresh some of that knowledge.
That's right. How was that experience for you? You went to KCMC. Did you go to Kabosho as well?
I did. I went to KCMC. I spent most of my time at KCMC, and then when the time came to do some time at Kabosho, unfortunately, I was able to spend only a couple of days there because that was right when the earthquake in Turkey and northeast Syria had happened, and I needed to go. I participated briefly to the response over there, so I had to leave Kabosho prior to the end of my stint, but. It was a great learning experience. Completely different world, from under all aspects. The geography, the environment, the society, the way medicine works over there. So I'm very happy I had the chance to have that experience. And Kabosho is just, I don't even know how to describe this small, it's not even that small really, hospital nestled at the foot of Kilimanjaro, and there's even a great bar.
Tell us about the bar.
So you walk out of the hospital and there's like a dirt road that goes down. It's probably about 15 minutes away. And we got invited. We actually got invited. It was I went there with another student from the masters, and we got invited by one of the anesthesiologists that worked there. That said, after hours, after work, this is a good place to be. And initially we were a little bit skeptical because we were the only people that were not from Kabosho there. But we had a great time, great atmosphere. Everybody treated us well. They told us about the origin of the village, and a lot of things that you never probably learn or experience if you just walked around as a tourist.
Was there bar food as well?
No, we didn't. We didn't get any food because the food in Kibosho is actually great. There is I don't remember if she's a nun or what exactly she does, but it's a lady that takes care of the visiting students, and she makes amazing food. So we came back from that bar to basically a fully cooked meal waiting for us. No complaints.
Well, that's right. They serve right in the 3-bedroom flat for the medical students. They give you food right there. I've forgotten about that.
Yeah, that's right.
So here's a question for you: Kili beer or Serengeti?
I am ashamed to say that I haven't seen either.
What were they drinking up there then?
Oh, the beer.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kilimanjaro. Kili's.
Kili beer. It's fair enough.
Kili's. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the parts. Yeah. Kili's.
No. Far more important than that. We're talking about the pints. Yeah, I'm with you on the Kili beer.
Kili, for sure.
And did you get to the Kili Wonders Hotel where they have that rooftop pub?
I have not. I've heard about it.
Yes.
I've heard about it, but I didn't make it.
Yeah, 360 view of several hundred kilometers, it seems, of distance because of a bit of elevation. But so the Kabosho, tell us about what kind of the things you saw at Kabosho and what kind of treatments were you doing?
So, like I said, I didn't have a chance to spend a lot of time there, but in the couple of days that we spent there, we participated to a couple of cases down in the emergency room that were quite challenging. And we actually, for one of these cases, I had a butterfly unit with me. Nice. And they didn't have any butterfly capabilities there, so we offered to use the butterfly to do an assessment of the IVC, decided the patient could benefit from more fluids. So that was interesting. And then we had the chance to scrub in for some surgery.
Good deal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Then did you rotate through the medical ward, the ICU beds as well?
No, not at Kabosho. Not at Kabosho. I think my colleague did because she was there for longer. But I like I said, unfortunately, I showed up, introduced myself. I'm gonna be here for a while, and then 2 days after a morning rounds, I was saying, "Sorry, guys, I'm leaving for Turkey. I can't be here." Okay.
So tell us about the church there in Kabosho.
Massive church. It's like it looks out of a movie.
Yeah, it looks like it should be in an Irish village somewhere.
Yeah, seriously, it's like this white, massive, like Western-looking church with an attached school, and it's probably larger than the village itself, I would say.
1,200 people can go into that church. The Germans shipped the stones from Germany in 1840, trekked them up all the way up, 14 kilometers up Mount Kili, and built that church that looks like it would fit into any German village or Irish village. It's mental. Yeah.
One thing that I didn't realize about Tanzania is how strict the link with Germany is. Like at KCMC, there are German students rotating from all parts of the country, from all different universities, and there's lots of humanitarian initiatives and collaboration. I didn't realize that they're so tightly connected.
Have you had any of the village kids in Kabosho speak German to you?
No, that one I missed.
Yeah, you can walk around Kabosho and they'll come up to you and what little German they have, which I have pretty much the same amount of German, but they're so used to there's some full-time German doctors that live in both KCMC and Kabosho. Yeah.
Yeah, we met I think an orthopedic surgeon in Kibosho that was from Germany that was living there full time.
So tell us about your KCMC experience, Kilimanjaro Christian Medical Center.
Yeah, KCMC was definitely the highlight for me. I mean, I spent more time there, but it is a very busy ER. It's a referral center, so they take transfers from smaller centers like Kibosho. You've got volume, you've got acuity, and you got great stuff. I started, I think, on a night shift, and what I noticed a lot was that you could see the difference between the students from the different CoROM programs and all the medical students that were just doing some of their intern time there, and absolutely no disrespect to the medical student, but I noticed a lot of them were just like arms crossed kind of thing and observing versus us. We were like, we want to be hands on, and so we just jump right into things, and the staff loved that. They loved the fact that we were looking to learn from them, and they were happy to let us perform procedures, obviously, with the appropriate amount of supervision as required. But after the first couple of days, we were running procedures basically independently, reporting to the doctors. It was a great experience. One thing I wanna say about both Kibosho and KCMC is that for people that are considering going there, is just be aware that it is a different system and it is a different form of medicine. Don't expect necessarily to be able to provide the same treatments that you would in a big university hospital in North America, because that's not going to be the case, and you risk to expose yourself to some sort of moral or ethical injury if you don't manage your expectations, because you're, after all, practicing medicine in a completely different setting.
It's a challenge, and it's also one reason I like KCMC and Kabosho, because they are practicing in an austere environment, but they have board-certified emergency medicine docs that are following evidence-based as best as they can, and it's not like some other hospitals I've seen in Africa and Asia that it's filthy, it's dirty, there's animals going in and out, and it's spotless. There might not be windows frames in the windows, but it's spotless, and they're doing the best they can. And I think you're absolutely right. When you go there, you have to kind of shift your reality a bit and still do the best you can.
Absolutely. Like I said, the staff at the hospital is great, and despite the fact that there are obviously limitations in resources, even just because of the environment, they try to do the best that they can with what they have. But for me, it was one of the first days that I was there, and there was a resuscitation going on for a patient that we were not following. So we kind of just migrated over because they were running this cardiac arrest, and as they were running the cardiac arrest, myself and my colleague, we were bouncing ideas off each other's, and we thought, oh well, there's a chance this patient was septic. Maybe we should do some sodium bicarbonate. And the doctor thought it was a good idea, and didn't realize that a lot of these medications over there need to be purchased by the family and then be brought back. And so, that's what happened as we were running the code. But then after, going back and thinking about it, it's like, okay, did we really do anything good by suggesting that medication? First of all, the evidence that that medication is beneficial in that circumstances is very minimal, if any. But, in Western medicine, we do it because there's such an amount of resources that we don't really care whether or not we burn an amp of sodium bicarb. Now you translate that to KCMC, and now you're potentially causing a family, to spend some money that they can't really spend on something that's not going to make a difference. It's there's a lot of reflections to make there, but I think it sparks a good conversation about different ways of doing medicine.
I find it illuminating to be in these different environments, and as a medic I've gone to 61 countries now, and quite a few of them been out on their ambulances or in the hospitals, and just to see the different way people are doing what the best they can. And it's the people who are still trying to do evidence-based medicine, even if they don't have epi or norepi quickly available, because the family has to go purchase to be fair, there's tons of epi, but something like sodium bicarb they don't have available, and you have to wait for them to go into the pharmacy to purchase it and come. Yeah, it's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me it was a paradigm shift, and from there on, every single intervention or test diagnostic that here you just like, okay, let's just write the full thing just because, right? There you're like, okay, do I really need to do this? Is this really gonna be beneficial for my patient, or am I actually causing more harm than good by recommending this or that?
So with your experience in SF and your experience in academic medicine, because you're in the master's program, but with your experiences in both worlds, how would you see a placement at KCMC useful for a SOCM?
Oh, I think it would be absolutely beneficial, because it would more likely mimic a operational medicine environment more than any, I think, North American or European hospital placement would, and staff there expects medics to work with a level of degree and autonomy once they prove themselves, and that's, I think, the same kind of expectation that is put on soft medics when they're working out there. So they would be exposed to tropical medicine. They would be exposed to some conditions and diseases that they would never see in North American or European healthcare facilities. I imagine there might be some nuances in getting that organized with bureaucracy and all that, but if it was an option, I think it would be a great placement for a soft medic, absolutely.
When I originally stumbled onto Kabosho, which is a good half hour up the hill from KCMC, I stumbled onto Kabosho and immediately thought that this would be the perfect place for the operational medic, the 18 Delta, SOCM, whatnot. And I kind of put that into place, and I have sent SF medics and doctors to go with them this is just before COVID hit, but having these SF guys go there, and the autonomy you have up there is, I think, well suited for the SF medic. But then the benefit of KCMC is you have all these board certified docs to be there to bounce off questions, and of course you have the other expat medical students to meet and go out and have dinner with. So both have good options, and luckily they're close enough together.
Yeah, because the thing that I've noticed as a soft medic growing through, I did my hospital rotations in Germany at the Bundeswehr Krankenhaus in Ulm, the military hospital in Ulm. Great place, great staff, absolutely outstanding level of care, cutting edge technology, cutting edge treatments, but as a soft medic going through that, you see, a patient coming in with, I don't know, abdominal pain, and then they get a full workup for abdominal pain, all the blood works, they might end up in a CT scan. And all the time you're thinking, okay, what would I do if I was, 1,000 kilometers from nowhere in a ditch with a patient that had the same presentation? Well, I don't have this, I don't have that. And the advantage of practicing in a place like Bosch or KCMC is that you actually don't have a lot of those things. And so you have to come up with surrogate measures to, for certain diagnostics, and it forces you to work in conditions that are more similar to what you would operationally. I think for the soft medic, there's benefits to both, to be honest. They need to see both.
So at the moment, there's 50 to 60 expat medical students at KCMC, and they don't see that. They come in, they get, this counts as their medical school rotation, and by 12 o'clock they're out drinking or the discotheques or whatnot, and then that leaves the bachelor's and master's students to be mainly the ones there to, as you say, jump in. And I think it's lost on a lot of these medical students.
My recommendation is for anybody that's considering going to KCMC for rotations, don't be shy, and do what needs to be done. Myself and the other CoROM students that I had the pleasure to rotate there with, we would do anything from picking up dirty bandages, mopping the floors, to performing abdominal synthesis, to pleural taps, intubations. Be a member of the team. Be a team player. If a stretcher needs to be clean the stretcher. Because if the staff sees that you're willing to do the work, and then you're not just there to be a medical tourist, then you will get ready into the fun stuff, and you will get to learn a lot.
That's keen advice, and I've seen that over my years as well. And I find that whenever I go into a new country or a new healthcare environment, finding the dirtiest, dankest, crappiest thing to help the nurses with, and they're stunned. They're like, "Why are you helping me clean this patient?" Well, we need to clean the patient, and you being there and helping roll and helping get this patient clean, they see that and they're like, no med student's going to do that, right? That's below them. But for remote medics, jumping in and this is what prolonged field care is. This is what I need to learn. And then you do this. Usually it's about a day. You spend a day doing all the crappy stuff, like you said, mopping or picking up bandages and stuff. The next day they're like, "Oh, you're still here? Well, come here. Hey, this is a cool thing that we're doing over here." And you have to put your time in, don't you?
100%. That is absolutely paramount. Another thing that I found a lot of the medical students, didn't do is, go around and introduce yourself to people. Shake hands, tell your name, learn other people's name, tell them what you are, what you're doing, where you're coming from. And just be a team player, and you will get the chance to practice a lot more medicine than you would if you just sit with your arms crossed and wait for people to come get you. Like you said, they have some world-class practitioners at different levels. They don't need any of us to do what they're doing, right? We get the exceptional chance to learn and practice in that environment, but it's because the staff there gives us the opportunity to do so, and they're not going to be feeling keen to give the opportunity to somebody that's just sitting there and waiting for time to pass.
So, Mike, you're enrolled in our Masters of Austere Critical Care. Tell us your experiences with that, and what have you learned? What have you brought from that into your current clinical practice? Well,
I've started the master in I think it was 2021. I was part of the first cohort. It's been a great experience for me. I have started the masters pretty much a little before started to work critical care in civilian paramedicine environment, because I started the masters and then a few months later I switched from ground to flight and went through our basically critical care orientation. And having done the critical care modules on the master before was exponentially beneficial, also because in the master's critical care basic modules, yes, they are foundational critical care modules, but they are discussed with an optics to, lack of resources, lack of diagnostics, lack of equipment. So when I ended up going through my formal critical care for the flight training, I already had a much broader foundation, and there was some things like, for example, our passive leg raise test that we learned in the first critical care foundational module, which is something that is not, or at least was not covered in my flight critical care orientation, because, well, you've got your ultrasounds, you've got your advanced hemodynamic monitoring and all that. So that was great. I am a little bit stuck right now with my master's. I'm going through a little bit of an evaluation, and it has nothing to do with the quality of the program, which is excellent. It's just more so of a personal bandwidth consideration about finishing a clinical master's versus getting a master's in something non-clinical, like education or something along those lines. But that said, the paramedic framework in Canada is changing, and they are talking about introducing a paramedic practitioner specialty, so like a mid-level practitioner that starts from paramedicine. And I'm sure that having a clinical master in austere critical care would help for that. So we'll see how that goes.
So what's next for Mike Turconi?
I think that I'm looking at a couple of different things. I want to get better at what I'm doing right now. For the last couple of years, like I said, with a lot of traveling for humanitarian work to Ukraine, I've done clinical work, but not as much clinical work as I'd like. And I want to put more time into clinical work. And then I think I want to advance my education. I don't know if I am going to go the physician assistant route or see what's going to happen with this new paramedic practitioner role that they're talking about putting together. But that's the idea. The other side of it is that, and I don't feel like I'm in a position to give a life advice, but I'm gonna do it anyways for people in our field. Learn to enjoy what you have and what you achieve, and that's something that I'm trying to learn. We're overachievers. We're always thinking, well, okay, what's next? What am I gonna get next? Take some time to enjoy and get good at doing what you're doing and at the level that you're doing it, because there's a value in that too. And it's not that next certification or the next degree that's gonna fulfill you necessarily. There's value in staying where you are and doing what you're doing good.
Your statement is a perfect segue into my final question. What advice do you have for the new paramedic, nurse, or new doctor interested in working in austere medicine?
Well, I would say start from the College of Remote and Offshore Medicine website, because no, I mean, obviously I would recommend the college for anybody that wants to start a career in this field. But from a more general perspective, I would say open your mind, because you can learn a lot of things, but at the end of the day, working in an austere environment requires looking at problems from a bunch of different perspectives, because there's not going to be cookbook solutions. There are obviously textbooks and resources, but austere environments present so many variables. But yeah, if you enter practice in austere environments, thinking about with the same mental schemes that you have coming from practicing medicine in a university hospital, you're gonna hit the ground really hard. Open your mind and look at problems from different perspective, and know that the solution might be in places where you would never suspect. And I think when you teach improvised medicine, you do cover this a fair bit.
Mike, you continue to impress me, and you have hit the ground running. And I really look forward to seeing what you do as in the next few years with your career. And thank you for taking the time to be on our podcast. And you, go out and continue doing great things.
Well, thank you for the kind words, my friend. I'm really happy that we had a chance to do this, and I want to thank you for all the help and support that you've given through my career. I remember, meeting you at the NSOCM in Germany. What was now maybe 10 years ago, I don't know. And yeah, I've done nothing other than learn and get plenty of support from you and everybody at the college. So thank you very much for that.
This has been a presentation from the College of Remote and Offshore Medicine. If you would like to earn CPD credits for this podcast, you can join the Council of Members. Being a member of the college gives you free CPD credit, free access to our virtual field guide, and discounts on our e-learning courses. You can join the team on our college website at corom.edu.mt.